is still one of the most enticing in the world. The natural beauty Africa has to offer cannot be disputed. From its awe inspiring landscapes to its vibrant culture, the continent never fails to amaze visitors. Africa is known for its vast deserts, highlands, and beautiful savanna grasslands. It hosts extraordinary towns and cities that are enriched with culture, history, and other activities. These currently most beautiful cities in Africa have proven the continent's rapid economic growth over years. Before we go through the 40 most beautiful cities, it is important that we note the main reason for Africa's current growth, which is improvement in economic governance. Welcome to Think Rich Africa, the community which brings to you entrepreneurial, business, and personal development content to inform, motivate, and why not inspire you. We also want to introduce to you our special African development playlist because we strongly believe that entrepreneurship, rather than global pity, is the key to Africa's growth and development. So, if you're African and you aren't subscribed to our community, you are indeed missing out. Based on factors like unsurpassed natural wonders, dramatic coastlines, amazing wildlife, luscious forests, and unforgettable architecture, 40 out of the numerous African cities have been selected as most beautiful. These cities, some of which belong to the same nation, have proven in many ways to be fit for the ranking. They are general selections made from the northern, western, eastern, and southern regions of Africa. Beginning with the least beautiful, we present to you Africa's 40 most beautiful cities. Enjoy. 40. Ouagadougou. Commonly referred to as Awaga, Ouagadougou is the capital and largest city of Burkina Faso, with a population of over 2.5 million people. It is the administrative, communication, cultural, and economic center of the nation. Served by the international airport, the Abidjan linked railway, and several highways linking the city to Niamey, Niger, Ghana, and Ivory Coast, the city has one of West Africa's largest markets. Its attractions include the National Museum of Burkina Faso, the Moro Naba Palace, the National Museum of Music, and several craft markets. It is beautifully sprinkled with a number of astonishing cultural and art venues, such as Maison du Peuple and Salle des Banquets. Ouaga is indeed a beauty in Africa. 39. Yaoundé. Situated in the central region of the nation, with a population of over 2.8 million people, Yaoundé is the capital and second largest city of Cameroon. The city's economy is majorly centered on the administrative and industrial institutions in it. It is home to many industries like those producing beer, glass goods, dairy products, tobacco, and timber. It also houses government offices, hotels, and markets. It is well known for its striking monuments and buildings, such as the Presidential Palace and Palais des Congrès. Also found in Yaoundé are the Reunification Monument, the Sport Palace, the Ape Action Africa, the Mvog Betsy Zoo Botanic Park, the Yaoundé Municipal Lake, and the Congress Center in Singa. Its infrastructures and environment makes it one of the most beautiful cities in Africa. 38. Abidjan. The city, which is the sixth most populous in Africa, with a population of 6.3 million, is the economic capital of Ivory Coast. It is characterized by a high level of industrialization and urbanization as a result of rapid expansion. As the largest city in Ivory Coast and center of its economic activities, it is home to almost all political institutions and foreign embassies in the nation. The city constitutes several attractive sites like the Municipal Museum, the American Culture Center, the Cocody Museum of Contemporary Art, the Cote d'Ivoire Museum of Civilization, and the Abidjan Artisanal Center. Abidjan is indeed a beautiful African city whose inhabitants have an interesting and admirable lifestyle. 37. Khartoum. With a population of over 5 million people, Khartoum is the capital and largest metropolitan city of Sudan. Located at the confluence of the White Nile, it is an economic and trade center in northern Africa with rail lines from Port Sudan and El Obeid. The city houses several national and cultural institutions, including the National Museum of Sudan, the Khalifa House Museum, the University of Khartoum, and the Sudan University of Science and Technology. Khartoum's architecture reflects the city's history and is marked by native Sudanese, Turkish, British, and modern buildings. Its infrastructural and cultural beauty, therefore, is one which is worth beholding. 36. Asmara. Sighting at an elevation of 7,628 feet at the tip of an escarpment, which makes it the sixth highest capital in the world by altitude, Asmara is the capital and most populated city of Eritrea. For its well preserved modernist architecture, it was declared a UNESCO World Heritage. The city is adorned by Italian colonial villas and mansions, one prominent example being the World Bank building. It is known to be an extraordinarily modern city, not only because of its architecture, but because of its outstanding traffic lights. From its economic to transport, infrastructure, cultural, and tourism sectors, it is evident that Asmara fits its reputation of being one of Africa's most beautiful cities. 35. Casablanca. Located on the Atlantic coast of the Chewiya Plain in the central western part of Morocco, Casablanca is the largest city in Morocco and the eighth largest in the Arab world, with a population of over 4.2 million. It is the economic and business center of Morocco, housing the headquarters of leading Moroccan companies and many international corporations. As the primary industrial zone of its nation, Casablanca holds Morocco's chief port, which is among the largest artificial ports in the world and the second largest port in North Africa. The city has a rich cultural heritage with amazing sites like the Corniche, the beach of Ain Diab, the Morocco Mall, and the Arab League Park. It also has the Hassan Tlai Mosque, which is the second largest mosque in Africa and the seventh largest in the world. 34. Giza. Located on the west bank of Nile, southwest of central Cairo, Giza is the second largest city in Egypt, the fourth largest city in Africa, and the capital of the Giza Governorate, with a population of over 9.2 million inhabitants. The city is most popular as the location of the Giza Plateau, an area with the most impressive monuments in the world, which include the Great Sphinx, the Great Pyramid of Giza, and a number of other large pyramids and temples. Giza is a flourishing center of Egyptian culture, which hosts the first zoo on the entire African continent and several parks like the Orman Park. 33. Alexandria. Founded by Alexander the Great, it is a Mediterranean port city in Egypt, which after rapid growth became a major center of Hellenic civilization. It is a popular tourist destination and an important industrial center based on its natural gas and oil pipelines from Suez. It is the largest city in the Mediterranean, the second largest in Egypt, the fourth largest in the Arab world, the ninth largest in Africa, and the 79th largest by population in the world, with over 5.3 million inhabitants. The beautiful city is sprinkled with amazements like the Shalatat Gardens, the Montaza Garden, the Alexandria Art Center, the Alexandria Opera House, the Fawzia Fahmy Palace, the Alexander the Great statue, the monument of the unknown Navy soldier, the Montaza Palace, and the Al-Qad Ibrahim Mosque. 32. Pretoria. Serving as host to all foreign embassies in South Africa and as the seat of the executive branch of government, Pretoria is one of South Africa's three capitals. It is popular for being the center of research and academic city of South Africa, housing the Tshwane University of Technology, the University of Pretoria, the University of South Africa, the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, the Human Sciences Research Council, the National Research Foundation, and the South African Bureau of Standards. It is also known as the Jacaranda City because of the numerous jacaranda trees planted along its streets, parks, and gardens. Pretoria is a city full of amazing sights like the Pretoria National Botanical Garden, the National Zoological Gardens of South Africa, Malambo and the Church Square. 31. Durban. With a population of about 3.44 million people, Durban, which has been nicknamed Durbs, is the third most populated city in South Africa and the largest in KwaZulu-Natal. Positioned as the chief seaport of South Africa and located on the natal bay of the Indian Ocean, Durban is a highly ethnical and diverse city with large Zulu, white, and Asian population. The city has been named the greenest city in the world due to its numerous touristic sites, which include the Durban Botanic Gardens, Holland Forest, the Durban Ice Arena, the Kings Park Stadium, the Mitchell Park Zoo, the Pigeon Valley Nature Reserve, and the Umgeni River Bird Park. As a city with beautiful environment and culture, its charm isn't just felt in the country, but in Africa at large. 30. Addis Ababa. Serving as the regional capital of Oromia, Addis Ababa is the capital and largest city of Ethiopia. It is a highly developed and important cultural, artistic, financial, and administrative hub of Ethiopia, with an estimated population of 2.7 million inhabitants. Addis Ababa is popularly known to be the political capital of Africa due to its historical, diplomatic, and political significance for the continent. The city serves as headquarters of major international organizations such as African Union and the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. The city as well is a delightful place to explore, as it is one characterized by diversity and contrasts. Positioned at the foothills of the Entoto Mountains, the city pleasantly extends many hillsides and gullies cutting through sparkling streams, from its varying architecture to colorful markets. Comfortable bars and restaurants, Addis Ababa is a beautiful city in Africa which is worth applauding. 29. Kinshasa. Formerly known as Leopoldville, Kinshasa is the capital and largest city of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Once a site of fishing and trading villages, which is one of Africa's fastest growing economies, is currently the largest francophone city in the world and the third most populated metropolitan area in Africa. It accounts for 85% of Congolese economy and is home to the country's big manufacturing companies, such as Marsalco SDA and All Pack Industries. The city also has beautiful sites and hotels which are worth traveling for. Its general beauty makes it one of the most beautiful African cities. 28. Lagos. Renowned for being the largest city in Nigeria and second most populous in Africa, with a population of over 24 million inhabitants, Lagos is a major African financial center and Nigeria's economic hub. The city is also described as the cultural, financial, and entertainment capital of Africa, with its significant influence on commerce, entertainment, technology, education, politics, tourism, art, and fashion in the continent. Housing one of the largest and busiest seaports in Africa, with a significantly high overall gross domestic product, Lagos is one of Africa's top 10 fastest growing cities and urban areas. It is made up of beautiful sites like the Freedom Park, the Tinubu Square, and the Tafawa Balewa Square. It is an important location for African and Black cultural identity, which is known for its numerous annual festivals. Lagos has a variety of sandy beaches by the Atlantic Ocean, which include the Elegushi and Alpha beaches. The city is characterized by a variety of hotels, ranging from 3-star to 5-star, and is, of course, one of Africa's most beautiful. 27. Port Louis. Known for its French colonial architecture and the 19th century Champ de Mars horse racing track. It is the nation's economic, cultural, and political center, and with a population of over 147 inhabitants, it is the most populated city in the country. Its economy is mostly dominated by its financial center, port facilities, tourism, and manufacturing sector. The city is home to the biggest port facility in the Indian Ocean and is one of Africa's major financial centers. It is home to the nation's major harbor, which is the lone official port of entry and exit for sea vessels in Mauritius. The city is stuffed with numerous constructions and monuments which reflect its rich and diverse colonial history. The city also has uniquely built Hindu temples, churches, and mosques. 26. Kampala. With an estimated population of 1.68 million inhabitants, Kampala is the capital and largest city of Uganda. The metropolitan city generates approximately half of Uganda's gross domestic product and is said to be among the most rapidly growing cities in Africa. The Great City, which is known to be the Pearl of Africa, is made up of an impressive skyline, streets with European flair, friendly people, and a very low crime rate. It is one of the most modern African cities, with numerous parks, shops, hotels, bars, and international restaurants. The city, whose surroundings offer sightseeing, city walks, and day trips opportunities, is indisputably one of Africa's most beautiful cities. 25. Tunis. Often referred to as Grand Tunis, it is Tunisia's largest city and capital with a population of 2.7 million inhabitants. The city is situated on a vast Mediterranean Sea gulf, and on its core rests ancient Medina, a World Heritage Site. Surrounded by old Arab walls, Tunis is the country's most beautiful city, making it one of Africa's, with the best of Arabic architecture and vibrant markets, most notably. 24. Luanda. Located on Angola's northern Atlantic coast, Luanda is Angola's administrative center, primary port. Its economy is boasted by the presence of industries, which include the processing of agricultural products, beverage production, textile cement, new car assembly plants, construction materials, plastics, metallurgy, cigarettes, and shoes. The city of Luanda is also notably a host of an economic center for oil and refinery. Fringed with palm trees and protected by a spit of land from the harbor of the crashing blue-gray Atlantic, Luanda is Angola's beating heart, which is dynamically, unforgettably, and seductively sitting a half-moon-shaped bay. It is indeed one of Africa's most beautiful. 23. Accra. Located in the southern coast at the Gulf of Guinea, Accra, which usually refers to the Accra metropolitan area, is the capital and largest city of Ghana, with an estimated urban population of 4.2 million people. The beautiful city is one in which visitors enjoy its multiracial and cultured urban areas with amazing shopping outlets full of ranges restaurants. Beach bars alongside excellent Ghanaian nightlife experience. The city has many upscale areas which include the East Legon and Osu, commonly known as Oxford Street. The city of Accra is home for the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park, which contains mausoleum and museum charting his life as first president of the nation. The city has vast and colorful markets like the Makola Market and seafront spots beaches like the Labadi Beach. 22. Abuja. Located within the Federal Capital Territory at the center of Nigeria, Abuja is Nigeria's capital and eighth most populous cities. Due to Nigeria's geopolitical influence in regional affairs, the city is a key capital on the African continent. It is home to most of Nigeria's government agencies, foreign embassies, and residencies of the president, senators, and most of the other top politicians. Alongside being the wealthiest and most expensive in the continent, Abuja is known to be one of the few purpose-built African capital cities. The city, whose main economic driver is real estate, is mainly served by the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. It has well-developed transport, education, tourism, and social sectors, and is no doubt one of the most beautiful cities in Africa. 21. Kigali. Cited in 1907 based on its central location, views, and security, Kigali is the capital and largest city of Rwanda. It has been Rwanda's economic, cultural, and transport center since it became capital. As host of the main residence of the President of Rwanda, most government ministries and offices, the largest contributor to the city's gross domestic product is its service sector. The city exudes pattern from open spaces to neatly set out palm trees and trimmed lawns sprinkled with colorful flowers. Kigali embodies the green living motto and gives the city amity, stability, and ambitions. Like a famous paragon rising from the ashes, Kigali has been identified with hope as it builds itself. Kigali is one of the African cities which has put in place effective implementation of stringent laws, and has so far maintained its beauty and order. 20. Jen. Also referred to as Jen, it is an urban commune and town in the inland Niger Delta region of central Mali. It is the administrative center of the Jen Circle, which is among the subdivisions of the Mopti region. The town is popular for its outstanding adobe architecture, most noticeably the Great Mosque, which was constructed in 1907. To its south is Djenjano, which is one of the oldest towns in sub-Saharan Africa. Jen, designated a World Heritage Site by UNESCO in 1988, is home to the astonishing mosque, considered the largest mud-built building in the world. Assembled from mud bricks dehydrated in the sun and plastered yearly by the whole association of city residents, the companionship alone is a beauty to behold. The city rests on a sequence of tiny hills dotted with mud-built cottages, attractive shops, and cafes. Seasonal overflow turns the town into an island, resulting to a parade of bright-colored canoes, floating from shore to shore. If alone construction could dictate the most gorgeous city in Africa, Jen in south-central Mali would top the list. 19. Algiers. With a population of about 4.5 million people, Algiers is the capital and largest city of Algeria, located on the Mediterranean Sea in the north-central portion of the country. The city's modern part is constructed on the level ground by the seashore, whilst its ancient city of days climbs the steep hill behind the modern town, crowned by the UNESCO World Heritage Site Casbah. From silver domes to dynasty palaces, extensive minarets, and entangled mosaics, the architectural path of the city has been consistent in its march through the centuries. Algiers' staggering historical monuments, along with its marbled Great Mosque and Catholic Basilica, positioned on towering cliffs, makes it one of Africa's most beautiful cities. 18. Aswan. Found in southern Egypt, Aswan is the capital of the Aswan Governorate. It is a busy market and tourist center, which on expansion now includes the formerly separate locality on the island of Elephantine. The Aswan city is part of the UNESCO Creative Cities in the category of craft and folk art. With the tactical location on the Nile River, Aswan carries the charm of historical ruins and temples hearkening to long ago generations. Being culturally noteworthy, the city encompasses assorted islands including Aglika Island, home to the archaeological site of the Philae Temple complex. Philae has a very popular and noticeable structure called the Temple of Isis, which was built with sandstone-colored columns and convoluted carvings in honor of the Egyptian goddess of love in the 4th century. While sailboats meander their way along the shoreline, shaded by tangerine-toned hills, Aswan's beauty and that of its respected temple are illuminated by evening light and sound shows. 17. Franschhoek. Located in Western Cape Province, Franschhoek is a small town and one of the oldest in South Africa, formerly known as Olifantshoek. The town is one of South Africa's most sought-out residential addresses, with an ideal summer weather, snowy peaks during winter, and proximity to Cape Town. The city is noted for having top restaurants within its border, which alongside its strong wine culture and pristine natural and architectural beauty, has made it the food and wine capital of South Africa. The city is covered with grassy vineyards and zigzag trails at Mont Rochelle Nature Reserve. It is dotted by farmlands, which provided fresh ingredients for its popular cuisine. Its lakes and rivers serve as fishing grounds and are surrounded by bike and hiking trails meandering through the untouched forests. With all these, Franschhoek is considered a serene, beautiful African city. 16. Chefchaouen. Also referred to as Chaouen, it is a city in northwest Morocco and the chief town of the Chefchaouen province. It is an economy based on agro-pastoral system with olive and fig plantations, which have numerous water mills for grinding grain and olives. The city also has a handcraft sector, which focuses on leather, iron, textiles, and carpentry. Chaouen washes the horizon in azalea blue tones emerging from the color wash structures of its old town community. Besides the reassuring blue visage of its old town, Chefchaoun's major square is characterized by a startling red Kasbah fortress constructed in the 14s, complete with a real dungeon. The city's charming architecture is framed by two mountain peaks, and due to its remote location and surreal ambience. It is the blue pearl of Morocco and a strong front runner for most beautiful African city. 15. Agadir. Located 509 kilometers from Casablanca, north to the point where the Souss River flows, Agadir is capital of the Souss Massa region and a major city in Morocco. The city is one of Morocco's major urban centers with a population of over 924,000 people. Agadir teems with visitors throughout the year, as it is the most active oceanside resort in Morocco. As the city is settled within the foothills of the Anti Atlas mountain range, it gives out an agrarian backdrop to the bustling beach scene. Its flourishing green golf courses, private hammock massage rooms, and boat trips on the Atlantic are Agadir's main fun activities. The city's blend of nature and modish eateries along the seaside avenue makes it rankingly part of the list of top African beautiful touristic cities. 14. Jinja Town. Located on the north shores of Lake Victoria in the Busoga subregion of eastern Uganda. Jinja Town, with a population of 71,213, is the second largest economy in Uganda. It is the tourism hub of Africa, with many adventure activities for tourists like watching games, kayaking, traditional dances, sailing, native fights, horse riding, nightlife experiences, water rafting, museum visits, camping, visiting beaches, swimming, bungee jumping, sunbathing, and many more. It is popularly referred to as the adventure capital of East Africa due to its many activities tourists could engage in. Its spectacular view and natural resources makes it a constant contender for most beautiful city in Africa. 13. Essaouira. Protected by a natural bay partially shielded from wave action, the city of Essaouira is a port city in the western Moroccan region of Marrakech Safi on the Atlantic coast. The city is listed as a UNESCO World Heritage City and is an example of a late 18th century fortified town. The city has a handful of modern purpose built hotels within its walls and many privately owned riots, which may be rented for any period of time. Notably cabinet making and wood carving, Essaouira is home to a huge number of small arts and craft businesses. With the heavy trade wind blowing almost consistently onto the preserved, almost waveless bay, the city is popular for its kite surfing and windsurfing. Due to the tree climbing goats, which are unique to its region, the city is one of the top tourist attractions in Morocco. Well known recently for its edgy, laid-back ambience and picturesque coast, the city's stunning crescent beaches makes it one of the most beautiful in Africa. 12. Windhoek. Located on the Comas Highland Plateau area, with a population of 431,000 people, Windhoek is the largest city and capital of Namibia. It is the economic, social, political, and cultural hub of the country. It is headquarter for almost all national enterprises and also host of the University of Namibia. Windhoek is marked with the past presence of Germany colonial times in form of German architecture, three German-style castles, and appealing pastel structures visible from miles away. It is a wonderful African city worth visiting, filled with a broad combination of modern amenities as well as neo-Baroque cathedrals and indigenous populations. Wildlife and over 200 species of birds, including the almost extinct green-backed heron, are safely harbored in the Don Viljoen Game Park. 11. Luxor. Often being characterized as the world's greatest open-air museum, Luxor is a modern city in the southern part of Egypt. With a population of over 400,000 people, Luxor is the capital of the Luxor Governorate and one of the oldest inhabited cities in the world. The city's economy is solely dependent on tourism and agriculture. Transportation to and fro and within the city is quite easy, and stress-free due to the good nature of roads. The city has monuments, temples, and tombs of the West Bank Theban necropolis across the Nile, which includes the Valley of Kings and the Valley of Queens from the Nile River scenes to desert terrains, nature, and centuries old architecture still reign in Lusur. Formerly known as the capital of Thebes, Luxor is marked as one of Egypt's most gorgeous cities. Gaborone. Popular for the Gaborone Game Reserve, sheltering native animals like wildebeest and impala alongside resident and migratory birds. Gaborone is the capital and largest city of Botswana. It is located between the Kale Hill and the Odi Hill, beside the confluence of the Nodawayne River and Segudichin River in the southeastern corner of Botswana. The city is headquartering many companies, including the Botswana Stock Exchange and the Southern African Development Community. The city's core is a long stripe of commercial businesses called Main Mall, and it was once one of the fastest growing cities in the world. Gaborone is a highly civilized metropolis in Botswana, known for its Western style malls, contemporary buildings, and institutes of higher learning. The city always welcomes visitors for tours and observations. 9. Lamu. Situated 341 kilometers by road northeast of Mombasa, ending with Mokom Jetty, the Lamu town is the headquarters of Lamu County and a UNESCO World Heritage. The city has on its seafront the Lamu Fort, built under Fumo Madi ibn Abi Baki, the Sultan of Pate. The city is home to 23 mosques, which include the Riyadh Mosque, constructed in 1900, and a donkey sanctuary. Kenya beaches are acclaimed to fame, largely unspoiled, deserted, and framed by windswept sand dunes in the coastal town. Traditions, stimulating a legality that makes it one of Africa's most pleasing places to visit. The city is one of the ancient Swahili settlements in Africa, inhabited since the 12th century. Its narrow paths across town are roamed by donkeys, which pass through thatched huts, stone houses, and market stalls selling local produce and crafts. Visitors and locals in Lamu get around by donkey or traditional dhow boats. Palm trees, and a range of colorful flowers. For addressing the challenges of rapid urbanization, the city was awarded the UNESCO 2022 City for Peace Prize. It is a pleasant city in Africa, which harbors spectacular water views and is a short drive from the Blue Nile Falls, which spill the majestic jagged cliffs. The city cradles 37 of the highly mysterious monasteries in Africa, which contain religious art dating back to the 16th and 17th centuries. It is where the palace of Ethiopia's most renowned ruler, His Regal Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie, is found. The palazzo extends across a piece of land about 3 miles from Bahir Dar, surrounded by jacaranda trees. 7. Stone Town. Also referred to as Mji Mkongwe, Stone Town of Zanzibar, is the old part of Zanzibar City in Tanzania. It is a city of prominent historical and artistic importance in East Africa. Its ancient architecture dates back to the 19th century, reflecting the diverse influences underlying the Swahili culture. The city is a UNESCO World Heritage Site with a unique mixture of Arab, Persian, Indian, and European elements. Due to the fact that a large part of Tanzania's economy depends on tourism-related activities, major visitor attractions in the country, like Stone Town, are currently experiencing consistent development and growth to keep up with their potentials. Situated by fascinating alleys, brimming with colorful markets, intricately carved wooden structures, and the monumental Sultan's Palace. It is unique for its synchronicity of countless red tile roofs, which establishes a hypnotizing array marked by gliding spice aromas from village markets and adjacent farmlands. 6. Dar es Salaam. Commonly known as Dar, it is the largest city and financial hub in Tanzania. With a population of 6 million, Dar is the largest city in East Africa and the seventh largest in Africa. It is one of the world's fastest growing city and important economic center located on the Swahili coast. Dar is Tanzania's most prominent city for arts, fashion, media, film, television, and finance. The city was once a lazy fishing town on the Indian Ocean coast of Tanzania, but currently, Dar is a major commercial port in Africa. In spite the city's industrial nature of the port areas, it still values in a big way its tribal history. An area of Dar es Salaam have been dedicated and devoted to the village museum, an outdoor recreation of indigenous homes and traditions, with tribal dances and costumes. The city has beaches, nearby islands, sculptures from the Mwenge woodcarvers market, and unique creations from the Tinga Tinga art movement, which highlights its enduring beauty. 5. Marrakesh. Being one of the four imperial cities of Morocco and the capital of the Marrakesh Safi region, Marrakesh is the fourth largest city in the Kingdom of Morocco. Currently, it is one of the busiest cities in Africa and serves as a major economic center and tourist destination. The city has the largest traditional market in Morocco with selling weirs, which range from Berber carpets to modern consumer electronics. A significant percentage of the city's population is employed by crafts, which improves the city's beauty. Marrakesh, out of Morocco's most aesthetic cities in Africa, is one which particularly mesmerizes with an idiosyncratic blend of cosmopolitan chic and centuries old architecture. Marrakesh is elevated as a symbol of North African culture, from the enthralling desert hued Museum of African Coexisting Art Al Maiden to the skyline piercing minaret of Koutoubia Mosque at the center of the city. The city's elegance flows through daily life with its vibrant marketplace souks, exhibiting elaborately woven tapestries and slippers, earthy spices, and colorful cooking pots. 4. Nairobi. As an active metro center, the it is also a manufacturing center for goods like clothing, textiles, building materials, processed foods, beverages, and cigarettes. It has parks and gardens, which create a tranquil aesthetic that rivals the most beautiful African cities. From the city's safari park to its botanical gardens, Nairobi generously shares its natural spaces with modern architecture, historical institutions, numerous museums, and tribal culture. A short distance drive outside the city takes you to the sunny savanna of Nairobi National Park and then Ngong Hills Coffee Farm featured in Out of Africa. Nairobi has a large touristic industry. 3. Cairo. With a population of 21.3 million, Cairo is Egypt's capital, the world's largest Arab city, and the largest urban agglomeration in Africa. For its preponderance of Islamic architecture, Cairo is titled the City of a Thousand Minarets. Currently, the Cairo city has the oldest and largest cinema and music industry in the Arab world, as well as the world's second oldest institution of higher learning, Al Azhar. It is the center of many offices governing the Egyptian educational system, with the highest number of schools and higher educational institutes. The city of Cairo consists of quite interesting sections like the Tahrir Square, the Egyptian Museum, the Grand Egyptian Museum, the Cairo Tower, Old Cairo, Islamic Cairo, Citadel of Cairo, and Khan el Khalili. The city is well known for many things, the most prominent of which is the astonishing world famous pyramids of Giza. These pyramids have for a very long while earned a spot on the original Seven Wonders of the World. Alongside the oldest known monumental sculpture, the Great Sphinx, Cairo has a timeless beauty which is irreplaceable in the African culture. 2. Johannesburg. With over 4 million inhabitants, Johannesburg is an internationally renowned and vibrant metropolis in Africa. Aside the fact that the city of Johannesburg is the most powerful commercial center in the African continent, it is one of the world's youngest, major, and most beautiful cities. While holding on it its roots in South African culture, Johannesburg flourishes as a modern, prosperous city. From its skyscrapers, glistened in the famous African sun, to its collection of museums, which highlights its country's history for all its victories. Tragedies, art, and culture. Johannesburg is the moist populated city in South Africa, whose northern and northwestern suburbs is the center for the wealthy, containing high-end retail shops, as well as several upper-class residential areas such as Hyde Park, Sandhurst, Northcliffe, Hurlingham, Bryanston, and Hodham, Nelson Mandela's home. 1. Cape Town. Ranked as one of the most beautiful cities not just in Africa, but globally, Cape Town is South Africa's second largest city and most populated. Since 14s, the city, which is located at a strategic geographical position in Africa, has been receiving a huge number of foreign visitors who have had so much influence on the present day beauty of the city. The city bowl, harbor, white beaches, and Robben Island are all overlooked by its larger than life mountain. Cape Town comprises of two World Heritage sites, sprawling windlands, nature reserves, botanic gardens, and a buzzing waterfront for perfect adventures. The city is made up of beaches, which are a huge draw card for visitors during hot summers and during winter when conditions are most favorable for surfing. Its abundance of flora in its environs, from the magnificence of the Kirstenbosch National Botanical Garden to a World Heritage Site featuring more than 9,000 finbow species in the Table Mountain National Park, makes its beauty more appreciable. As a home of many different cultures, Cape Town has spotted mosques, kramats, churches, synagogues, and temples with outstanding architectures. All these cities, from Cape Town to Awaga, even though unique with individual aspects, have a synergism which represents the beauty of the African continent. Like the saying that God visits everywhere but lives in Africa, these African cities have proven that Africa as a whole is a palace whose beauty can't be compared to less than royalty. From natural to artificial, the continent is ideal. To those in and out of Africa who have been wondering where to behold beauty of an area, this most especially is for you. If you enjoyed watching this video, please do not forget to leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and become a member of our growing diverse community here on Think Rich Africa. Thanks for watching, and see you in another interesting video.
Top 10 most beautiful cities in Ethiopia. Hello.
10 African countries with the best infrastructural development. The foundation for human progress, the eradication of poverty, and the achievement of the Sustainable Progress Goals, SDGs, across the continent is the provision of enough and suitable infrastructure. The state of the roads reflects how different areas and places are developing. Poor roads would have a major impact on people's ability to access key services like transportation for agricultural goods and medical care. As a result, it is important to understand that proper infrastructure, particularly roads, is vital for rapid growth. More than half of the improvements in socioeconomic growth seen over the previous few years have been attributed to investments made in infrastructure across the continent. In this context, infrastructure may include, but is not limited to, roads, rail networks, power, ICT, water, health, and education infrastructure. While the majority of the continent's nations are currently working to improve its infrastructure, several stand out as remarkable in their delivery of these fundamental infrastructures that make life meaningful for everyone. In today's video, we will be looking at 10 African countries with the best infrastructural development. Stay connected as we make this discovery. 10. Tunisia. Formerly known as the Republic of Tunisia, Tunisia is the most northern nation in Africa. The nation shares borders with Algeria to the west and southwest, Libya to the southeast, and the Mediterranean Sea to the north and east form part of the Maghreb region of North Africa. The main traffic and transport routes are in good condition, but do not reach the level of the leading industrial nations. Tunisia ranks 74th in the world in terms of the length of its rail network, with 0.14 meters per inhabitant. Freight traffic on the rails most recently totaled 413.30 miles. 9. Gabon. The principal compare Gabon's infrastructure to the standard across all of Africa. Despite being in good shape, the major transportation routes do not match those of the most advanced industrialized countries. With 0.35 meters per resident, Gabon's rail network is the 46th longest in the world. The length of the rail system as a whole is 810 kilometers. Most recently, 409.00 million tons and kilometers of freight were transported on trains. In 2020, there were 87 million passenger kilometers traveled. The mentioned waterways are interior rivers and canals used for transportation. The 885 kilometers of coastline that make up the number of ports. 180,000 freight containers were moved in 2020. 8. Zambia. Zambia's infrastructure needs are still a significant barrier to growth, economic diversification, and human development. The Link Zambia 8000 project will build more interprovincial and inter-district roads to open up the nation. Other areas for development and sanitation. Increased power generation capacity through the upgrading and building of new generation facilities and use of alternative energy sources. The rail network being improved and expanded to lessen the burden on road infrastructure. In order to address the estimated 1.5 million housing unit shortage in Zambia, 110,000 new homes will need to be built per year for the next 10 years. The Zambian government will undoubtedly face short to medium-term financial constraints as it begins fiscal reforms and renegotiates existing loans with commercial creditors, despite the ongoing need for new infrastructure investment. 7. Mauritius. In Mauritius, the infrastructure is well developed. A total of 1,910 kilometers, 1,186 miles of roads are in very good condition, with 1,834 kilometers, 1,139 miles of these being paved. The road network can support the amount of traffic in the country as of the year 2000. Fewer than 10% of people are car owners. Several road projects, including the expansion of the route from Nouvelle France to Plaine Magnine, the implementation of the Southeastern Highway project, and the building of bypasses in places like Flax, Goodlands, and Triolet, have been proposed in the interim. Mauritius doesn't have any railroads, although bus transportation is dependable and effective. In the late 1990s, Port Louis Harbor received additional capacity and was reconfigured to accommodate heavy traffic and cargo volume. The nation has a successful free port that manages roughly our 9 billion worth of trade annually. This is thought to be about 13,000 tons in volume. Given its location between Africa, Asia, and Australia, Mauritius hopes to establish itself as a significant transshipment hub. Currently, there are 5 airports, 2 of which have paved runways. British Airways, Air France, South African Airways, and Air Mauritius are the principal carriers for flights to and from Mauritius. 6. Egypt. Egypt's building industry has long been regarded as the safest place for Egyptians to invest their wealth. Over the past 10 years, the sector has seen a tremendous increase in activity. Additionally, after a brief halt caused by the COVID-19 outbreak, the sector is expected to rise by 9% on average between 2020 and 2024. Active public-private partnerships, the proliferation of green buildings, and the need for high-end infrastructure will be the key drivers of this growth. For the majority of Egyptians, investing in real estate has long been seen as a safe haven due to its consistent value growth. The Egyptian government has made significant investments in the building industry. The government of Egypt's construction of a sizable new administrative capital 30 miles east of Cairo is a well-known example. The government was anticipated to move by the end of 2022 after finishing the first phase of the project, which involved all cabinet ministries and bodies. Additionally, the government is modernizing the transportation systems, ports, and airports. The Ministry of Transportation is currently working on about 25 projects related to the railroad industry. The government's major objective is to expand the roads and ports for industrial development, while also connecting the cities with reliable transportation systems. 5. Nigeria. Despite the fact that unstable power supplies have slowed growth, infrastructure has made a net contribution of about 1 percentage point to Nigeria's improved per capita growth performance in recent years. Growing the nation's infrastructure endowment to the level of the middle-income nations in the region may increase yearly growth by about 4%. Nigeria's power, road, rail, and ICT networks are among the most developed in Africa, and they cover a large portion of the country. The power, ports, ICT, and domestic air transport industries are all undergoing extensive reforms, but problems still exist. The operational efficiency and cost recovery of the power sector in Africa have been among the lowest, supplying just about half of what is needed and resulting in social expenses of roughly 3.7% of GDP. With low and declining levels of piped water coverage, the water and sanitation industry operates inefficiently. Additionally, irrigation development is lacking in comparison to the nation's enormous potential. Nigeria's road networks are in bad shape due to a lack of maintenance, and the nation has a dismal track record for air transport safety. Over the next 10 years, consistent spending of about $14.2 billion per year, or around 12% of GDP, will be needed to address Nigeria's infrastructure problems. Nigeria has spent $5.9 billion so far. Given the resilience of the national economy, substantial oil revenues, attempts to recoup the cost of electricity, and other operational and management enhancements, it is in a good position to raise the money required for infrastructure. 4. Morocco. Moroccan infrastructure spending has increased significantly during the past 20 years. Between 2001 and 2017, the macroeconomic level saw total investments that ranged from 25 to 38% of global GDP, one of the highest rates ever recorded. More than half of this investment, which went toward infrastructure, was made by the public sector, local governments, public businesses, and the treasury. In terms of GDP, Morocco is among the nations that get the most government development aid, of which 50% is allocated to infrastructure. The investments have enhanced access to markets and essential services, boosted productivity, and built more dependable supply chains. 3. Botswana. The net contribution of infrastructure to Botswana's improved per capita growth performance in recent years was little over 2 percentage points. The annual growth rate might be increased by around 1.2 percentage points by bringing the nation's infrastructure endowment up to par with that of the middle-income nations in the region. In recent years, Botswana has made substantial infrastructure advancements throughout the fields of transportation, water and sanitation, power, and mobile communications. But there are still some significant infrastructure issues that the nation must address. The most urgent is in the power sector, where the nation is exposed economically and financially due to a lack of generation capacity and an inadequate supply of power, leaving the economy susceptible to shocks in the price of energy and load shedding. 2. Ghana. During the 2000s, infrastructure added little over 1% to Ghana's yearly per capita GDP growth. The annual growth rate might increase by more than 2.7 percentage points if the nation's infrastructure were to be on par with that of the middle-income nations in the region. When compared to other low-income African nations, Ghana possesses a sophisticated infrastructure base. Impressive levels of coverage for rural water, power, and GSM signals exist across the nation. The majority of the road network is in decent to good condition. ICT, ports, transportation, and water supply industries have all embraced institutional reforms. The most pressing issues facing Ghana are in the area of power, where the country is dependent on expensive oil-based generating due to outdated transmission and distribution systems, rapid demand growth, and recurring hydrological shocks. Customers are subjected to sporadic supply as a result of exceptionally high losses in water distribution. Increasing annual spending to $2.3 billion will be necessary to address Ghana's infrastructure problems. The nation already invests over $1.2 billion annually in infrastructure, or 7.5% of GDP. Each year, inefficiencies cost the economy an additional $1.1 billion, primarily because power is underpriced. Ghana has a financing need for infrastructure of roughly $0.4 billion annually, primarily in the areas of power and water. As a result of its recent oil discoveries, Ghana can improve public spending via increasing tax revenues. The nation has a strong economic foundation on which to grow, as well as a number of promising regions on which to build. 1. South Africa. In order to guarantee rapid economic growth and reduce poverty in South Africa, infrastructure development is essential. A good core infrastructure network exists in South Africa, including a transportation system, electricity grid, communication system, sewage system, and water supply. Despite having a strong core network, rural and historically underdeveloped areas lack the same level of infrastructure as developed areas because of significant levels of socioeconomic inequality. Both the residents of these areas and South Africa's economic progress are impacted by the fundamental differences between these communities. One method of describing various infrastructure types is to divide them into two categories: hard infrastructure and soft infrastructure. Hard infrastructure refers to the physical networks required for a contemporary industry to operate. Roads, bridges, and railroads are included in this. The institutions that uphold a nation's economic, social, environmental, and cultural norms collectively are referred to as soft infrastructure. This covers instructional initiatives, governmental data, amusement parks, police enforcement organizations, and emergency services. Do well to share your thoughts on what you think about infrastructure in Africa, and do not hesitate to like, share, and subscribe to Africa Reloaded for more exciting adventures. It is very clear that Africa is the most resource abundant and fastest growing continent of the world. Every country in Africa has something to boast about as a factor of economic and sociocultural development. For this reason, some of its countries have grown rapidly with increasing numbers of high net worth individuals, businesses, and expertise in various domains that have made them very wealthy today. Africa's total investable wealth currently stands at $2.4 trillion, and its millionaire population is expected to rise by 42% over the next 10 years, according to the latest 2023 Africa Wealth Report, published by Henley and Partners in collaboration with About Wealth. Some countries in Africa are richer than others, looking at their gross domestic product. GDP is an instrument used to measure all of a country's output, as well as its wealth status. It is a vital indicator of a country's ability to provide its citizens with comfortable and fascinating standards of living. Most eastern and southernmost countries of Africa have experienced significant economic growth over the past few decades, driven by factors you won't want to miss out as you watch this video. Which are the top 10 wealthiest countries in Africa? How wealthy are they, and how do they go about it? Take your time, sit comfortably, and watch this video till the end. Let us begin from the 10th position. Tanzania. Tanzania is an East African country known for its vast wilderness areas and rich economy. The economy of Tanzania depends mostly on agriculture and has been transforming from a local to an advanced market over the years. The Africa Wealth Report of 2023 indicates that Tanzania has about 2,400 high net worth individuals worth over $1 million. The total wealth of Tanzania currently stands at $75 billion. Most of Tanzania's wealthiest people reside in Dar es Salaam, the commercial capital, which is also a beautiful place for touristic activity in the country. Poor people living in rural areas in Tanzania have at least accumulated other kinds of improvements to their standards of living, thanks to factors such as education, increased land ownership, better infrastructure such as roads and local markets. 9. Ghana. Ghana is considered to be among the least developed countries in the world, but however, it is rated as one of the fastest growing economies in Africa. Ghana has a market-based economy with relatively few policy barriers to trade and investment as compared to other countries in the region, and is also endowed with many natural resources, such as currently stands at about $82.26 billion, and there are over 2,600 millionaires and 5 multimillionaires living there as of 2023. Ghana's top exports that contribute greatly to its wealth include cocoa, gold, and oil. The country's major export markets include China, Switzerland, India, South Africa, the Netherlands, and the United Arab Emirates. Many Ghanaians have strong personal and business ties with the United States and a strong affinity for American brands and technology. In fact, Ghana is the third largest U.S. export market for goods in sub-Saharan Africa, after Nigeria and South Africa. 8. Ethiopia. Ethiopia is ranked as one of the wealthiest countries in Africa in 2023, with a total wealth amounting to over $90 billion. According to estimates from the World Bank and other big financial institutions, Ethiopia, since the year 2000, has been engaged into nearly 150 projects to enhance development. Most of these projects have been successfully realized, thanks to fruitful collaboration with foreign partners. The richest person in Ethiopia is Mohammed Al-Amoudi, a businessman who carries out his activities both in his home country and Saudi Arabia. He is worth $420 million this year. There are many high net worth individuals living in Ethiopia, and the number keeps rising gradually as time goes by. It is important to note that Ethiopia's economy accelerated to 5.6% growth in 2021, from 6.1% in 2020 due to civil conflicts and the effects of COVID-19 on transport and hospitality. Notwithstanding, trade still counts as Ethiopia's major source of income, with coffee being the primary foreign exchange route. Other exported products include live animals, hides and skins, oilseeds, and gold. 7. Mauritius. Mauritius is an Indian island nation known for its beautiful lagoons, beaches, reefs, and mountains. This country is located in East Africa and has a population of about 1.3 million inhabitants. Mauritius got its independence in 1960. Exported products include live animals, hides, and skins. 6% growth in 2021. His home country in Saudi Arabia has been engaged into nearly Africa in 2023, with a total wealth amounting to over $90 billion. According to estimates from the World Bank and other big financial institutions, Ethiopia, since the year 2000, has been engaged into nearly 150 projects to enhance development. Most of these projects have been successfully realized, thanks to fruitful collaboration with foreign partners. The richest person in Ethiopia is Mohammed Al-Amoudi, a businessman who carries out his activities both in his home country and Saudi Arabia. He is worth $420 million this year. There are many high net worth individuals living in Ethiopia, and the number keeps rising gradually as time goes by. It is important to note that Ethiopia's economy decelerated to 5.6% growth in 2021 from 6.1 in 2020 due to civil conflicts and the effects of COVID-19 on transport and hospitality. Notwithstanding, trade still counts as Ethiopia's major source of income, with coffee being the primary foreign exchange earner. Other exported products include live animals, hides and skins, oilseeds, and gold. 7. Mauritius. Mauritius is an Indian island nation known for its beautiful lagoons, beaches, reefs, and mountains. This country is located in East Africa and has a population of about 1.3 million inhabitants. Mauritius got its independence in 1968, and since then, her economy has witnessed a remarkable transformation from a low-income, agriculturally based economy to a diversified upper-middle-income economy with growing industrial, financial, and tourism sectors. The Mauritian population contains some 4,900 millionaires and 10 multimillionaires as of 2023, $200.7 billion. According to Henley and Partners, Mauritius is expected to experience the highest wealth growth rate at 75% over the next decade in terms of projections. This will make it the fourth fastest growing country in the world over this period, in millionaire growth percentage terms after Vietnam, India, and New Zealand. 6. Algeria. Algeria's total wealth is currently estimated at $206 billion, making it one of the richest African nations this year. The country's economy is dominated by its export trade in petroleum and natural gas, commodities that, despite fluctuations in world prices, annually contribute more than half of the country's GDP. You may also want to know that Algeria has the world's 16th largest oil reserves and the 9th largest reserves of natural gas. Sonatrach is the Algerian national oil company listed amongst the largest in Africa and supplies large amounts of natural gas to Europe. Algeria currently has about 2,800 millionaires, 8 multimillionaires, and 1 billionaire. Another is its dense road transport network, which facilitates movement of human capital from neighboring countries like Tunisia and Morocco. Now let's get to the 5 wealthiest countries in Africa, often referred to as the Big Five, still from the bottom of the list. 5. Morocco. Morocco's ranking has permitted it to enter the Big Five wealth market in Africa, which accounts for 56% of Africa's high net worth individuals and over 9% of the continent's billionaires. Today, Morocco's total wealth is estimated at $238 billion. Morocco is home to 4 billionaires, 28 multimillionaires, and about 5,800 millionaires. They are actually pretty rich, even though it doesn't show that on its GDP. But there are people in this country that have more money than you think. Among the assets that Morocco possesses, the luxury industry occupies a significant portion, and this has made the country to be ranked as one of the top luxury markets on the continent. Analysts and industry experts maintain that Morocco has several improvements to realize in its bureaucracy and technology in order to make the country more appealing to investors and entrepreneurs. 4. Kenya. According to this year's Africa Wealth Report, Kenya is one of Africa's richest countries, with a protruding total wealth of $240 billion. Kenya's dollar millionaires, people whose net worth is at least $1 million, is about 7,900 persons, although the number slightly dropped, looking at the previous year's statistics. Most researchers find it hard to identify a Kenya-based billionaire. The few billion-dollar fortunes in the country are spread out among several family members, making it challenging to single out standalone ultra-rich individuals. Kenya is a middle-income nation in East Africa that has plans to become a newly industrialized one by 2030. Major industries that contribute greatly to the country's wealth include agriculture, forestry, fishing, mining, manufacturing, tourism, energy, and financial services. 3. Nigeria. Nigeria is listed amongst the richest countries in Africa, probably because of its human potential, abundance of natural resources, and GDP in purchasing power parity, worth billions of dollars. There are four billionaires in Nigeria, including the richest man in Africa, Aliko Dangote, who has a whopping net worth of over $14 billion, culled from his cement and oil businesses. Nigeria has 2,800 million and 27 million people. The country's total wealth is estimated at $300 billion this year. It is worth noting that most of Nigeria's economic advancement is concentrated in the south, while the center and north follow suit. Majority of economic activities occur in the coastal zone, particularly around Lagos, a booming economic hub and wealth generator for Nigeria. Despite a per capita GDP far below pre-independent levels, Nigeria remains Africa's most populous and main oil producer. 2. Egypt. Egypt is the leading economic force in Africa in terms of GDP per capita and the second richest country on the continent. Egypt's total wealth is estimated at $411 billion, and its economy relies mainly on agriculture, media, petroleum imports, natural gas, and tourism. The Egyptian information and communication sector has been growing significantly since it was separated from the transport sector, and it is yielding positive outcomes. The investment market in Egypt is one of the most developed in Africa, with more than 633 listed companies, and the government is still making more efforts to attract foreign investors to the country. 1. South Africa. South Africa is the most industrialized and technologically sophisticated nation on the African continent. It features a two-speed economy, with one sector on par with industrialized nations and another in severe need of basic infrastructures. Being the richest country in Africa, South Africa accounts for 25% of the continent's economy and plays a significant role in its growth. South Africa has a total wealth of $428.5 billion this year and houses some 5 millionaires, 98 multimillionaires, and close to 39,000 millionaires. The natural resource extraction industry remains one of the largest in the country, contributing approximately $12 billion annually to the country's GDP since the end of apartheid. The fact that many Africans travel to South Africa to make more money than in their native countries is one of its claims to fame as one of Africa's richest nations. If you are just joining us, this video was brought to you by The New Tourist. Hope you grasped a thing or two to widen your scope about African countries. The facts and figures you have just watched may vary from one source to the other, but we tried getting from the most credible sites and documentations. However, take to drop it on the comment section. We are ready to give you just the best, and your reactions are always welcome. Do not forget to like and subscribe to the New Tourist channel and turn on notifications, so you get notified whenever we upload videos on facts about Africa like this. Thanks for watching, and see you in our next video.
10 pays africains avec les meilleures routes. Bonjour à tous, bienvenue encore une fois sur Afrique Révélée. Des autoroutes lisses et
Top 10 African countries with the lowest cost of living in 2023. I'll be showing you the 10 African nations with the lowest costs of living in today's video. We currently deal with a wide range of issues, including hunger, poverty, and a lack of social services like roads, water, and healthcare. This decade has been a misery to live in because of the global economic crisis. Despite our many difficulties, some nations continue to provide high standards of living at a low cost. Have you ever wondered which African nation in the current climate of rising climate crisis offers the lowest cost of living? Comparing living in Africa to Asia, Europe, and North and South America, it appears considerably more challenging. These are the 10 African nations with the lowest cost of living, according to a detailed review of living conditions, wages, employment opportunities, and social amenities. Hello there, welcome. You are watching Africa Reloaded. I am James, your host. Before we start the countdown, kindly take a few seconds to like this video. The cost of living is one of several elements that affect the nation's economy. The level of life, consumer purchasing power impacted by the cost of living, making it essential for a nation's economic stability. 10. Uganda. Cost of living index, 32.1. One of the best places in Africa to live comfortably on a tight budget is this country. The cost of living and average rent are 50% lower in Uganda than in Cameroon, another African nation. Its official languages are English and Swahili, and Uganda is a multilingual nation. Additionally, the nation has a vibrant, hospitable culture that makes it simple for foreigners to integrate. Furthermore, most trips to Uganda are trouble-free. Without housing, a single person's projected monthly expenses are $525.06. Without rent, Kampala is 66.7% cheaper than New York. There are many basic social services provided, including power, water, healthcare, and more. 9. Nigeria Cost of Living Index, 30.9. For many people, it can be difficult to live comfortably in Nigeria. Yet in comparison to other nations, you will require at least 200,000 naira per month to live in Nigeria. Your essential living costs, such as rent, food, and transportation, will be met by this sum. You should budget between 50,000 naira and 150,000 naira each month for groceries and housing on average. Housing costs is lower if you relocate to a smaller city. It's critical to remember that the cost of living in Nigeria is unpredictable and subject to change depending on variables like inflation and exchange rates. 8. Tanzania. Cost of Living Index, 30.8. Tanzania has an average cost of living that is 58.7% lower than that of the United States. Tanzanian rent is typically 78.4% less expensive than American rent. When it comes to food, transportation, and in some situations, lodging, money in Tanzania may go a very long way. One of the world's most beautiful nations is Tanzania. Zanzibar's natural splendor, the Serengeti's wildlife, Kilimanjaro, Africa's tallest peak, the local culture, and other factors combine to make the island a true paradise for residents. Tanzania has an $862 cost of living, which is 1.13 times less expensive than the global average. Out of 197 nations, Tanzania came in 95th place for cost of living. 7. Rwanda. Cost of living index 30.0. Rwanda is not only the cleanest country in Africa, but it is also one of the nations with a high standard of living. Rent, the average monthly expense for a family of four is $1,537.02. Without housing, a single person's projected monthly expenses are $430. There is a sizable expat population in the nation, and newcomers frequently report little difficulties there. The main cash crops for export in Rwanda are coffee and tea, and subsistence agriculture accounts for the majority of the country's GDP. Healthcare, food, energy, and other necessities of life are inexpensive and widely accessible. 6. Morocco. Cost of living index 29.3. Moroccan culture is unique due to its Berber, Arabian, and European influences. Morocco is a North African nation that borders the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea. Morocco has a $586 cost of living, which is 1.67 times less expensive than the global average. In terms of cost of living, Morocco was placed 100 out of 197 nations and was the 150th greatest place to live. A single individual should budget $30.40 per week for groceries, while a family of four should budget $50.60. In Morocco's city center, a one-bedroom apartment runs between $245 and $550 a month, which is a pretty reasonable price given the high standards of the nation. Before we continue, please remember to subscribe to Africa Reloaded and become a member of the community. 5. Algeria. Cost of living index 27.6. Algeria is a North African nation having a Saharan desert interior and a Mediterranean coast. This nation is one of the most advanced on the continent. It offers a low cost of living despite being developed and having a good standard of living. Although this country is friendly to expats, xenophobic acts against foreigners have recently drawn attention to it. Without rent, the projected monthly expenses for a family of four are $1,415.06. Without rent, the projected monthly expenses for a single individual are $407.00. In comparison to the United States, Algeria has a 62% lower cost of living. The average rent in Algeria is 90.7% less than it is in the United States. 4. Ghana. Cost of living index 26.7. Ghana is among the friendliest countries in Africa and has a high standard of living in addition to having a low cost of living. The average rent in Ghana is 62.1% less than it is in the US. Accra, Ghana's cost of living summary. Costs per month are estimated at $1,593 for a family of four. Without housing, a single person's estimated monthly expenses are $449.07. Without rent, Accra is 72.5% less, with all available apartments and homes advertised online. In Ghana, social facilities are reasonably priced and easily accessible. Ghana is a pretty safe country as well. 3. Tunisia. Cost of living index 26.5. The most northern nation in Africa is Tunisia. Its borders with Algeria to the west and southwest, Libya to the southeast, and the Mediterranean Sea to the north and east form part of the Maghreb region of North Africa. In general, this nation's lining is less expensive than that of other African nations. The standard of living is great, and the nation is well developed. Social services like water, education, and healthcare are all readily available and of high quality. Rent in Tunisia is exceedingly low, which is why many newcomers seek for rental homes on the beach. For less money, roughly $110 per month, you might opt to rent an apartment away from the tourist attractions. 2. Libya. Cost of living index 24.2. Libya is a nation in North Africa's Maghreb area. The Mediterranean Sea forms its northern boundary, and Algeria, Egypt, Sudan, Chad, and Tunisia make up its western, eastern, southern, and southernmost borders, respectively. In comparison to the United States, Libya has an average cost of living that is 66.6% lower. The average rent in Libya is 88.5% less than it is in the US. Although this country has had political unrest for a long time, it nevertheless enjoys a good level of living and affordable costs. 1. Egypt. Cost of living index, 21.6. The Arab Republic of Egypt is a transcontinental nation that shares a land border with both the southwest and northeast corners of Asia and Africa. It can be quite difficult to adapt to the culture in Egypt. However, it's a great place for open-minded and daring expats because of the amazing landmarks, breathtaking scenery, and low cost of living. Egypt is more affordable to go to than regions like Europe, North America, Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. Egypt is comparable to Southeast Asia in terms of cost for travel. Egypt is a great place to work if you enjoy being organized. Without rent, a single person's projected monthly expenses are $293.2. In comparison to the United States, Egypt has a 73.8% lower cost of living. The average rent in Egypt is 92.8% less than it is in the US. Thanks for watching to the end. Let us know what you think by commenting in the comment box below. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe.
Hello, globetrotters and budget-savvy travelers. Are you dreaming of new horizons without empty... Hello, globetrotters and budget...
Improving connectivity, boosting the economy, and creating job opportunities. 15. Tekene Lamu Pipeline. British energy services firm Wood Group plc has completed design work for a massive pipeline that will move crude oil from Lokicha fields into Kenya to the port of Lamu. The company, which was in March 2018 appointed by Kenya to undertake the front-end engineering design for the 824 kilometers pipeline, has delivered two design options. The first option, comprising a pipeline with onshore storage facilities, will cost $84 million, while one with floating storage will cost $82 million. 14. Palm Exotica. The proposed US $277 million project is a mixed-use development that will feature tastefully furnished residential suites, eclectic restaurants, and a vibrant 24-hour casino, a good feature for coastal entertainment. Each intuitively designed floor plan, from studios, presidential suites, exclusive sky apartments, and penthouse apartments, are fitted with modern appliances and tasteful furniture. Floor-to-ceiling windows and expansive balconies will have uninterrupted views of the vibrant blues of the Indian Ocean and emerald tropical treetops. Residents will also have access to a host of facilities including a casino, nightclub, retail mall, theater and cinema, state-of-the-art fitness center, wellness spa and children's play area, as well as a 5-star hotel and its lavish facilities. Furthermore, the tower will give its occupants uninterrupted views of vivid ocean colors and the picturesque water panorama. 13. The Pinnacle Hilton. The Pinnacle, also Pinnacle Towers, is a building on hold in Nairobi, the capital and largest city of Kenya. When completed, the skyscraper is expected to become the second tallest building in Africa after Egypt's iconic tower, and the third tallest building in the southern hemisphere, at 70 stories and over 1,000 feet 300 meters in height. The skyscraper is located in Upper Hill, on a 2.5 acres, 10,000 square meters, piece of property, approximately 4 kilometers, 2 miles, southwest of the city center of Nairobi, the capital city of Kenya. The development of this project is a joint venture by Hess Petroleum and East African Petroleum Products Distributor and the White Lotus Group, a Dubai-based investment firm. The White Lotus conglomerate is run by Indian businessman and Godman Vijaykumar Naidu, otherwise known as Kalki Bhagwan. The budgeted construction cost for the Pinnacle Towers is $200 million. Of that, the developers contributed $50 million and the balance was borrowed from Afrexim Bank and some Kenyan banks. The main contractor is China State Construction Engineering Corporation, CSCEC. Lamu Garissa Isiolo Road. Lamu Garissa Isiolo Road is a road in Kenya and is part of the Lamu Garissa Isiolo Lokicha Road, which itself is a component of the Lamu Port and Lamu Southern Sudan Ethiopia Transport Corridor, LAPSET, project. The road starts in the port city of Lamu and proceeds in a northwesterly direction through the town of Bura, Tana River County, not to be confused with Bura, Garissa County, and continue on to the town of Garissa. At Garissa, the road continues its northwesterly direction to Modogashi. Here it takes a southwesterly direction through Gobretula to end at Isiolo, a total distance of approximately 580 kilometers, 360 miles. 11. Kinol Isiolo Highway. The Kinol Isiolo Highway is a planned dual-carriage highway in Kenya. The highway would link Kinol, in Machakos County, to the towns of Ruiru and Thika, in Kiambu County, Kaboti and Mokuyu in Murang'a County, Sagana and Kiburigwi in Kirinyaga County, Karatina and Kigonjo in Nairi County, Nanyuki in Laikipia County, Timau in Meru County and Isiolo, in Isiolo County. The highway starts at Kinol, a neighborhood in the town of Metaboni, in Machakos County, approximately 25 kilometers, 16 miles, north of Machakos, where the county headquarters are located. It takes a general northerly direction through 9 Kenyan counties, skirting Mount Kenya to end at Isiolo, approximately 305 kilometers, 190 miles, to the north. The highway, for the most part, follows the route of the existing single carriageway road that is in various stages of disrepair. The government of Kenya, through its parastatal Kenya National Highways Authority, plans to widen the road to a dual carriageway. As of January 2019, the design for the Kinol Nairi section was complete. At that time, it was expected that by June 2019, the design of the Nairi Isolo section would also be complete. Then the project is expected to move from the design stage to the procurement stage. 10. Tattoo City. Tattoo City is designated as a project of strategic national importance pursuant to the Physical and Land Use Planning, Classification of Strategic and Inter-County Projects, Regulations, 2019. It is a flagship Vision 2030 private sector development and is gazetted as a special planning area. Located on 5,000 acres, Tattoo City Zone was home to more than 60 business entities, 2 international schools, namely Nova Pioneer and Crawford International, as of 2022. Still that same year, the city was also home to various completed, ongoing, and proposed housing projects, among them Kijani Ridge, Lifestyle Heights, Unity Homes, Caribou Homes, Tattoo Waters, and Connor Estates. Some of the companies with a presence in the Tattoo City Industrial Park by 2022 included Dormans, Kenya Wine, KWAL, Unilever, Copia, Bitco, Davis and Shirtliff, Coopers, Chendaria Industries, Gallagher, Tianlong, and Kimfei, among others. Tattoo City represents a new way of living and thinking for all Kenyans, creating a unique live, work and play environment that is free from traffic commuting. Underlying Tattoo City's design is a visionary concept aiming to shift urban development in Kenya from the familiar single-node model to a decentralized urban environment. By doing so, Tattoo will significantly decongest the city of Nairobi by offering a unique live, work and play environment. The project has an estimated cost of $154 million. Thwaite Dam. The Thwaite Dam project is a
በውብ ዲዛይኖች የተዋቡና የተሽቆጠቆጡ ዘመናዊ ቤት ዕቃ ያስፈልጎታል? እንግዲያውስ ሁነኛ ቦታ ልጠቁሙ። ደረጃ የቤቱን ድባብ
ወታደሮች የተገደሉበት ዜና ተሰምቷል። የአሜሪካ ጦር የሚተማመንበት ጋሻ መከታዬ የሚለው የአየር መከላከያ ፓትሪዮት በሩሲያ መብረቃዊ ጥቃት አመድ በሆነበት ዶኔትስክ ግንባር ላይ አሜሪካውያኑ ሞተዋል ተብሏል። በሌላ ዜና የአሜሪካና የኔቶ ጦር የሚመጻደቁበት አብርሃምስ ታንክ በሩሲያ ጦር ለአራተኛ ጊዜ ተመቷል። የኢራኑ ሂዝቦላህ በጎላን ተራራ ሰንጥቆ የሚሳኤል ሮኬት ማዝነቡም ተሰምቷል። ሰላማችሁ ይብዛ ውድ የአራዳ ዴይሊ ቤተሰቦች፣ ከላይ በሱ ያነሳነውን ዓለም አቀፍ ዜና በትንታኔ እናያለን። አብራችሁን ቆዩም። ጋዛ ላይ የሞት ሽረት ፍልሚያውን በረመዳን ወር የቀጠለው ሐማስ የእስራኤል ጦር ወደ አልአቅሳ መስጊድ መግቢያ መውጫውን አጥሮ ሙስሊሞችን ማስጨነቁን ካላቆመ የእስራኤል ግዛቶች ላይ ለየት ያለ ጥቃት እንፈጽማለን ሲል በሊባኖስ የሰፈረው የኢራን ሂዝቦላህ በጎላን ከፍታ በኩል ከ20 በላይ ሮኬትና ሚሳይሎችን አከታትሎ መልቀቁ ተዘግቧል። ሂዝቦላህ ጥቃት የእስራኤል መንደሮችና የእስራኤል የጦር ሰፈርን መትቻለሁ ሲል የእስራኤል ጦር አስተባብሎታል። በረመዳን ጾም ከተኩስ ነፃ እንሆናለን ያሉት የጋዛ ህዝቦችም በቦምብና በተኩስ ሩምታ ታጅበው ጾሙን ለመግፋት ተገደዋል። ታዲያ ጋዛ ላይ ሲሰማ የአሜሪካ ጦር ፔንታገን በምንም ቢመታ ንቅንቅ አይልም እያለ የሚመካበት ኔቶ የሚመጻደቅበት አብርሃምስ ታንክ የሩሲያ ጦር አራተኛውን ታንክ ዶግ አመድ አደረኩኝ ሲል በምስል አስደግፎ ሰበር የድል ዜና ለዓለም ይፋ አድርጎ ኔቶንም ኩም አድርጓል። የሩሲያ ጦር በአቭዲቭካ ግንባር አቅራቢያ የሚገኘውን አራተኛውን M1 አብርሃምስ ታንክ በተሳካ ሁኔታ ጭዳ ማድረጉ ታውቋል። የዜና ወኪሉ ታስ እንደዘገበው ታንኩን ለማጥፋት ጸረ ታንክ የእጅ ቦምብ ማስወንጨፊያ ጥቅም ላይ ውሏል። ይህ በ12 ቀናት ውስጥ አራተኛው መርዶ ሲሆን ይህም የዩክሬን የአብርሃምስ ታንኮችን ክምችት ወደ 27 ዝቅ እንዲል አድርጎታል። ከዚህ በላይ የአሜሪካ ጦር ለሩሲያውያን ጦርነት በሚል የመጨረሻ እያሉ ሲል የሰራውን ታንክ በዩክሬን ምድር ላይ የሩሲያ ጦር ጢባጢቤ ሲጫወትበት ማየቱ አስቆጥቶታል። ይህ በእንዲህ ሳለ የሩስኪ መከላከያ ሰራዊት በዶኔትስክ ክልል ባለፉት 24 ሰዓታት ብቻ እስከ 280 የሚደርሱ የዩክሬንና የኔቶ ቅጥረኛ ወታደሮች መገደላቸውን አስታውቋል። አቭዲቭካ ከተያዘች በኋላ በዩክሬን ዋና ከተማ መሃል ያሉ ጥቂት ግዛቶች በሩሲያ ጦር በሚደንቅ ፍጥነት እየተያዙና የሩሲያን ጦር ግስጋሴ ወደ ዩክሬን ዋና ከተማ ማድረጉን በውጊያ ላይ የሚወጡ ካርታዎች ቁልጭ አድርገው እያሳዩ ነው። የሩሲያ ጦር በውጊያ ታሪክ አንድም ጊዜ ወድሞ የማያውቀውን የአሜሪካ ጦር ፔንታገንን ጨምሮ ኔቶ የሚመካበት የሚመጻደቅበትን አብርሃምስ ታንክ ዶግ አመድ አድርጎ ለመጀመሪያ ጊዜ ታሪክ የጻፈበት በዚህ ዓመት ሲሆን አንዱን ከመታ በኋላ ቁጥሩን ወደ 4 ለማድረስ 2 ሳምንት ብቻ ነው የፈጀበት። የሩሲያ ጦር በአሜሪካ ለዩክሬን ታጣቂ ኃይሎች የቀረበውን የመጀመሪያውን ኤም1 አብርሃምስ ታንክ በተሳካ ሁኔታ መጥቶታል። ነገር ግን ኒውስዊክ ይህንን ዜና ከአሜሪካንም ሆነ ከዩክሬኖች ማረጋገጥ አልቻልኩም ሲል ዘግቦ ነበረ። ዘግየት ብሎ የሩሲያ መከላከያ ሚኒስቴር ማየት ማመን ነው ሲል በቪዲዮ የተደገፈ ማስረጃ ለቀቀ። በምስሉም ላይ አንድ የአሜሪካ አብርሃምስ ታንክ በሩሲያ ላንሴት ድሮን በደረሰበት ጥቃት ዶግ አመድ ሆኖ ይታያል። የሩሲያ ጦር ታንክ የተዋጣለት መሆኑን ስላወቀ ታንኩን ላንሴት በተገጠመለት ድሮን ከመታው በኋላ ወዲያው በመድፍ ደጋግሞ በመደብደብ ለመጀመሪያ ጊዜ በታሪክ የአሜሪካ መከታ የሚባለው ታንክ ወድሟል። እንደ አውሮፓ አቆጣጠር በ2023 ቀደም ብሎ የአሜሪካ ጦር የገባውን ቃል ኪዳን ተከትሎ 69 ቶን ባለ 4 ሰው ተሽከርካሪዎች ኬቭን የጦር ሜዳ ጥቅም ያስገኛሉ በሚል ተስፋ 31 ከታደሱት ኤም1 እንዲሁም ኤ1 ታንኮች ዩክሬን እንደሚገቡ በሴፕቴምበር ላይ አስታውቋል። ነገር ግን በዋነኛነት የዩክሬን ጦር 47ኛ ሜካናይዝድ ብርጌድ ያስታጠቀው ከተረከቡ ከ5 ወራት በኋላ የሩሲያ የዜና አውታሮች የሀገራቸውን ጦር ከአብርሃምስ አንዱ ወድሟል ሲል ዘግቧል ይላል ኒውስዊክ በሀተታው። እንደ አውሮፓ አቆጣጠር በየካቲት ወር አጋማሽ የሩሲያ መከላከያ ሚኒስቴር በየካቲት 2022 ሙሉ ጦርነቱ ከተቀሰቀሰ በኋላ የዩክሬን ጦርነት ከ15100 በላይ ታንኮችን የታጠቁ ተሽከርካሪዎችን አጥቷል። ከዚህ ጋር በተገናኘ የዩክሬን ታጣቂ ኃይሎች በበጋው የመልሶ ማጥቃት ዘመቻ ብቻ ከ20 በላይ በጀርመን የተሰሩ የነብር ታንኮችን በሩሲያ ጦር እንደወደመ የጀርመኑ ጋዜጣ ይፋ አድርጓል። ከነዚህ ውስጥ 7ቱ በራቦቲኖ ሰፈር አቅራቢያ ነው ሲል በስዊዲሽ ዘይቲንግ የወጣው ዘገባ አመላክቷል። ይህ ከዚህ ቀደም ዓለም ጉድ ያለበት በአንድ ግንባር የጀርመን ሊዮፓርድ እንደ ከሰል የወደመበት ሆኗል። ይህ በእንዲህ ሳለ የአሜሪካ ወታደሮች በዩክሬን ዶኔትስክ የሩሲያ ጦር በፈጸመው የሚሳኤል ጥቃት ከዩክሬን ወታደሮች ጋር ሳይገደሉ እንዳልቀረ የሩሲያ ባለስልጣን አስታውቀዋል። የምዕራባውያንን ዘመናዊ መሳሪያ አጠቃቀም ያቃታቸው የዩክሬን ወታደሮችን ለመርዳት አሜሪካንን ጨምሮ በርካታ የምዕራባውያን ሀገራት የጦር መኮንኖችና የጦር ቴክኒሻኖችን ጨምሮ ወታደሮችን በድብቅ እያስገቡ ይገኛሉ ያለው ዘገባው በዶኔትስክ የሩሲያ ጦር የአሜሪካውን ፓትሪዮት የሚሳኤል ስርዓት ዲቴክት አድርጎ ለመምታት በፈጸመው ጥቃት የአሜሪካ ጦር የሚመካበትን የሚሳኤል ስርዓት ሲመታ የአሜሪካ ጦር ቴክኒሻኖችም ቦታው ተገድለዋል ተብሏል። በክሬምሊን የሚደገፉ ሚዲያዎች በዘገቡት አስተያየት ከሞስኮ ጋር የተሳሰረ የህግ አውጪ እንደገለጸው የአሜሪካ ወታደራዊ አባላት ለዩክሬን በሚቀርበው ፓትሪዮት ወይም በጥሬ አማርኛ ፍቺው የአርበኝነት አየር መከላከያ ስርዓቶች ላይ የሩሲያ ኃይሎች ባደረጉት ጥቃት ተገድለው ሊሆን ይችላል። የክሬሚያ ክልል ግዛት የዱማው ምክትል ሰብሳቢ ሚካኤል ሽርሜት ለመንግስት የዜና ወኪል አርአይኤ ኖቪስቲ እንደተናገሩት ሁለቱ የአሜሪካ ሃይማርስ የአየር መከላከያ ስርዓቶች በዶኔትስክ ክልል ውስጥ በሩሲያ ጦር ሰራዊት ኢላማ ሆነዋል። የአርበኞች አየር መከላከያ ስርዓት ሲወድም የአሜሪካ ወታደራዊ አባላትም ተገድለዋል ሲሉ ህግ አውጪዎች በጦርነቱ ውስጥ የአሜሪካ ወታደሮች መሬት ላይ እንዳሉ ያረጋገጠ ጥቃት መሆኑን አያይዘው ጠቁመዋል። የአሜሪካ ጦር ፔንታገን በዶኔትስክ ስለተፈጸመው ጥቃትና ሞቱ ስለተባሉት